Hello, fellow horn players. Well, we all know that this school year has been a little different, and because of that, I have not been able to go in the schools and help my students with the GMEA All-State Etude like I normally would be able to. So because of that, I decided to make a video to help them, since I can't see them in person, and hopefully to help all of you watching this as well. Okay, let's get it. We are going to go through the Etude 4 measures at a time. The auditions aren't until December, so why rush it? I always go 4 measures at a time with my students so that we can make sure that we really get those measures before we move on to the next ones. And you have plenty of time, so we're going to start with the first 4, just like I would with them. The very first thing that you see with the song is the key signature. Always check the key signature first. And in this song, the key signature is 2 flats, B flat and E flat. So we are in the key of B flat. So normally right now, I would have my students play the B flat scale so that they can get their ear and their fingers ready to play B flats and E flats. So I'm going to do that right now. So now we'll look at the time signature, and we are in 3/4. So 3 beats in each measure, not 4, just 3. All right, so that's the easy part. So now let's take a look at the first 4 measures. The first thing I have my students do is look for the hardest part first. Let's just tackle the hard parts first. And in this, it is the D down to the F low and then back up to the D, in my opinion. So that's what we're going to go over. The D down to the F and back up to the D. I have a little bit of a trick to make it a little easier, since the whole rest of the measure is using the trigger. So you have B flat, C, D down to the low F and then back up to the D. You're using your trigger. So why not use a trigger for your F? You can play the low F, trigger open, just like the high F and just like the really low F. So let's try that. We're going to play D down to the F, open trigger, and then back up to your D, which is first and 2. 1 and 2 and trigger, or first and second and trigger. All right, so here's that. A few times to get used to going all the way down to the F and all the way back up to the D. And of course, you're going to use your tuner app to make sure you are playing the correct notes. After you do that a few times and make sure that you can hit back, now we're going to try the F up to the D slurred, because that's not that easy. So F up to your D slurred. So once you're comfortable doing that, we're going to move on to the next hardest part. Also, keep practicing it. You might not get that in one day. Use a whole week to get that part. Make it an exercise that you do when you warm up. So after your lips get a little bit warm, go ahead and do the F, D, D, F, D, D, F, until it gets a lot easier. All right. So now take a look at the next measure, and you see that there is a C down to the F. Now, if you've been practicing your D down to F, then the C to F should be pretty easy, and you can also still use the trigger for your F, because coming from open trigger for your C down to open trigger for your F is a lip slur, and that should be pretty easy. And then it's going back up to a B flat, so add that in there too. Good. So then you practice that a few times to make that a little easier to do. Please note that if doing the trigger for F doesn't work for you and you like just playing F on first, that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just giving you another option in case the trigger F is easier for you. So try it. If you like it, keep it. If you don't, go back to the other one. That's fine. Just make sure that you work on that interval, because that's the thing that really needs to be worked on. All right, so now we're going to go through playing each measure. First, I have my students check each pitch with your tuner app. So you just go through, play each note with your tuner app like this. And if that works out right with your tuner app, you got your notes down. Now we're going to add the rhythm. And feel free to go slower. That's your first measure. Next, do the same thing with the next measure. Then add your rhythm. And if that works out for you, you get comfortable with your second measure, let's put 1 and 2 together. So the next you would do measure 3, and since I've already done measures 1 and 2, I'm going to go ahead and do 3 also. And measure 4 is just a half note. We're going to stop on the C because that F 8th note is part of the next phrase. The first phrase ends on C. So we're going to stop there. So now I'm just going to play all the notes in measure 3. And for me, since I cracked that top note, I'll play it again. And again. All right, I got it. Now, in my lessons, if you miss it twice, I'm going to make you play it right 3 times because you got to push the mistakes out of your head and replace it with the good takes. So we would do that a few more times, keep practicing it over and over. Now let's put it with the rhythm. There. So then you go back and play all 4 measures. I'm going to do that now so you can hear it. The first 4 measures. Of course, this happens over the course of a week. Don't rush. Don't rush yourself. Just make sure you practice it over and over so that it can really get in your head and you really know this part. Now, should you put the slurs in? If you need to play it straight with tonguing the entire first few times you play it, fine. That's okay. Then add the slurs. And then once you're comfortable playing it with playing the notes and playing the rhythms, we go back and check the dynamics. Dynamics. Say it with me. Dynamics. The thing is, that's the most important part of the song. When y'all go to do the audition, most of the kids are going to know the song. I would hope if you're going to the audition, you know the song. That doesn't always happen. I'm a judge, I know. But we're going to assume that most of the people that go to the audition are prepared and they know the song. So if we have 40 kids try out and all of them can play the song, how can we tell who should make first chair or who's going to get the most points? Dynamics. Dynamics. So let's look at the dynamics of the first 4 measures. They're kind of boring. It's just a mezzo forte, which is cool. That means you can play that with a lot of air. Mezzo forte. But we can add some little things that will make it sound even better. So like in the first measure, I do a little bit of a crescendo, and then even crescendo from that F up to the D so that E flat, so the D comes out good, and then the E flat is really the apex of it, and then I would come back down again. Now, I'm not doing a full crescendo from piano all the way up to forte. No, I'm just adding a little bit to kind of shape the line, and that's what makes it really sound like something. So I don't know how my camera's gonna do picking up this sound, but I'm gonna try to play it straight first. I'm gonna try to play it straight first, and then I'm gonna do it with the little dynamics. So here's straight with no dynamics. Here's that F again, y'all. Y'all heard that. All right, but we're not worried about it because that's not what this is about right now. Dynamics. Can you hear the difference? Did you hear the difference? I heard it when I played it, so hopefully you can hear it through the camera. But the dynamics make so much of a difference. That's how you take your song where you think, I've got this, I can play this, and go up to the very next level by adding those little dynamics in it. Okay, so that wraps up our work with the first 4 measures of this GMEA 2020-2021 middle school etude. Now, next week, I'll be back with the next 4 measures, so make sure you subscribe. And if you like this video, please give me a like so I know that I should keep making them and keep finishing, which I'm gonna do anyway because my students need it. So, but if you could like it and let me know that it helped you, that would help me a lot. Subscribe, all the things. And I will see you guys next week with the next 4 videos. No, not the next 4 videos. I'll see you guys next week with the next 4 measures. All right, now go practice.